I sat Indian style, and I'm looking at this mirror, and they start, once everybody's hooked up and everything's good to go medically, they play this music called Wiki music. And this shit is like nothing I'd ever heard. I don't even know why they call it music. It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like 50 people in a house, and it would be like, you go take that tin trash can and just start banging it against the wall as loud as you can, and you take the trash can lid and just start throwing it on the ground at random, and you go over to the cabinet and start throwing all the glass out of the cabinet and just smashing everything on the floor, and you just start slamming cabinet doors, and you grab a pot and bang it on the counter. I mean, there's like no rhyme, no rhythm, no nothing.
Yeah.
All you can tell is it speeds up and slows down. So it
Wow.
is like pure chaos. And you're just listening to this like, what the hell are we listening to? And I think what they're doing is they're trying to, one, it's from that area of Africa, I believe. It's part of the ceremony. And and that's what you're listening to when this thing starts. So I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm still a little skeptical. And they said, when the medicine kicks in, a lot of people will hear a buzz. And I was like, okay, well, I'm probably not going to hear a buzz because I have tinnitus really bad, and I hear a buzz or ringing like all the time. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to hear a buzz. And I'm sitting there, and so I'm like, all right, well, I'm open. I'm going to let this thing do whatever it needs to do, because that's the other thing they say is just you have to allow this stuff to work. Don't fight it. No matter what comes up from your past or whatever the feeling is, just let this medicine take you where it needs to take you and show you what it needs to show you. And so I did. I was really open minded. And so we started in the mirror, and I'm shaking this Morocco, listening to this music. I'm sitting Indian style, and I'm just like, all right, looking at myself. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and nothing's happening.
This is how long after the second pill?
I don't know. You
No
have like
concept?
no conception. You have no concept of time. None at all. I'm just shaking this maraca. Nothing's really happening. And then they come over and they give you another pill. And so I don't know. I don't know how long it was. I feel like maybe it was an hour in between pill one and pill two, maybe 30 minutes in between pill two and pill three. And then they give you a fourth pill, and I think maybe I think they cut the time in half every time, but I'm not sure because you don't actually have any concept of time. But, so I took second pill. I'm sitting there, and I'm shaking this damn maraca, and nothing's happening. And all you can see is like your face and the candle flicker, There's no other light in there, so it's really dark. And sure as shit, something starts happening. And I start seeing these black tears come out of my eyes. And I wasn't crying, but I just saw like black tears. And I saw like out of my peripheral, because I'm looking at myself in the eyes in the mirror. And then I could, out of my peripheral, I could see the tears. But if I tried to focus on the tears, they were gone, like immediately gone. And so I'd look at myself in the eye again, and then the tears would start again. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, is that a shadow from the candle? Or is this actually happening? And I mean, I knew it wasn't actually happening because I went like, I'm like, what the? And so I kept shaking, and sure as shit, once I figured out that if I focus on it or try to focus on it, then it's going to disappear. So I just let it, I quit trying to focus on it, and I just looked at it through my peripheral, and it just started tearing like more. And I could see the tears like dripping off my nose, and they were black. And so that kind of went away a little bit. Just kind of stopped. And I was like, man, that was weird. And I look over, and the guy, I was in the center, the guy to my right, he had already laid down and put his eye mask on. I looked over, and Marcus was kind of still doing his thing, looking in the mirror. And the next thing I saw was I saw my head split into two from the top down. Like you draw a center line from the center of my head, down my nose, down my chin, and it like split. Like it was almost like it was peeling. And so it started here, and my head just like went like that. Started going like that. And once again, if I tried to focus on it, then it would
Go away.
the minute I'd focus on it, it was just back to normal. But when your head's like splitting like that, it's hard not to freak out a little bit. And, I'm looking at it, and it would come back, and then I would look at it through my peripheral vision, and it would start doing this again. And that one, I couldn't help myself from trying to focus on it because it's so weird looking.
Right.
And everything's like perfectly proportioned. Like if your head was to peel and bend, like everything was exactly the way you think it would look. But there's no like blood and guts. I can't see my brain or anything. It's just splitting. And after like 3 or 4 times, and once I got it again, like, all right, just try not to focus on it. Just let it happen, and try not to focus on it. My head was like this, and it kept splitting, and then up the middle of where the top of my head was splitting, like I saw another head coming out of my head, and it was my own head. So it was like this. It was like this head was peeling, and then another head was coming up of my head. And like started at the forehead, like very slowly. It's not like it just popped up. It was just like very slowly. So you couldn't really tell at first. And it was like, that's my own head coming out of my head. And so I was like looking at that, and right about that time, I started to hear that buzz.